primary ignition.
Welcome to Unlimited Power. My name is D-Rod, and here's my pre-release guide to playing Qira at your local Shadows of the Galaxy pre-release for Star Wars Unlimited, the trading card game. Now, if this is one of your first time watching one of my guides, I want to start off by saying the goal here is to focus on some cards that really pair well with Qira, her colors, and her ability. And a lot of those cards we're going to look at are going to be commons and uncommons. The reason why is because in the 6 packs you receive in your pre-release box, most of the cards you're going to receive are going to be commons and uncommons. So you really want to have the tools that can really build out your deck and the direction you want to go with this leader. Yes, you may get some rares and some legendaries that pair really well with Qira, but those rares and legendaries are few and far between when it's only 6 packs. So let's focus on some of the cards that can strengthen what you're trying to do and understand that some leaders may be limited in this type of format, and they'll do way better in either future sets or with other cards from previous sets. So let's take a look at what Qira does as a leader in a leader unit. As a blue-black character, I'm a big fan of those colors, and I think Qira adds something really interesting to it. As an action, she can pay 1. That's going to be the important thing to remember going through here. To do this ability costs you 1 resource. So you pay 1 resource and you exhaust her during an action to deal 2 damage to a friendly unit. Then give a shield token to it. Okay, this is probably what's going to deter a lot of people. Dealing 2 damage to a friendly unit doesn't sound that great, especially in a limited format, right? Yes, you can get a shield, but that's only going to protect a unit for a little bit of time, and hopefully they have no upgrade removal. So how do we make this work for us? We're looking for a keyword here called grit, and grit is going to be shown on Qira's leadership unit card. So when you deploy Qira, you can deploy her as early as turn 4 when you have 5 resources. She deploys as a 0/8 with grit. Okay, so with grit, we already see that on her. Now, when she is deployed, she has a very unique ability. Heal all damage from each unit, your opponent's and yours. Then deal damage to each unit equal to half its remaining HP rounded down. So every unit that doesn't have a shield is going to have take damage back rounded down. So that means if you're a 3 health unit, you're going to take 1 damage. If you're 4, 2, 5, 2, and so on and so on. So having shields and grit units is probably going to be really important here to take advantage of what Qira can do. Let's take a look at some of the cards that already fit her scheme with the blue-black. First one we're going to look at is Hyla Ben Enforcer. Right out of the Solo movies and the Solo and Qira book, Hyla Ben Enforcer is already on theme. As a 1-cost, 1/4 unit, you know you can use Qira's 1-cost action ability to damage this unit. He goes from a 1/4 to immediately a 3/4 with the shield. Yes, he does come with the penalty of a bounty, where if your opponent defeats him, they draw a card. But again, you can use this early on to your advantage and have a 3/4 on the field with the shield. The next is going to be Sonara San, a 4-cost unit, so you'd want to play it when you have 5 resources. It has grit, and it says when this unit is exhausted, she gains bounty. So the trick here is not to swing too early with Sonara. Don't let your opponent have an easy bounty because it's 5 damage to your base. The grit is going to be great because she has 6 health, meaning you can make this character swing for a total of 8 if it has 5 points of damage on it. And next is a 6-cost Clan Saxon Gauntlet. This is one that I think is fine to always put out when you have 6 resources because it has it's a 4/5 with Sentinel, and it has this great text that says when it's attacked, you may give an experience token to a unit before damage is dealt. So you can either continue to amplify some of your low-cost units like the Enforcer or Sonara or even Qira herself, or you can just continue to make your Sentinel unit really strong in the space arena. Either way, I think it's a great one. Moving on to the cunning aspects. Cunning is going to be a little bit different because there is no grit really in this set for cunning. So let's look at some strong cards that pair well with Qira, even though cunning may not be the best color to go with her. First one's going to be Hunter of the Haxian Brood. It's a 4/3 unit that when it enters play, if an opponent has a unit with a bounty on it, you can get a shield. Okay, shielding a 4/3 sounds pretty good to me. A 4/3 for 3 is already good. I'm not opposed to playing this card. Also think the art looks cool. Next is the Lurking TIE Phantom, a card you don't want to use Qira's ability for because it's a 2/2, but it's a great space unit because it has raid 2, meaning it attacks for 4, and it has the text that says it cannot be captured, damaged, or defeated by enemy card abilities. The only way your opponent's going to take this out is by swinging directly into it, or you swinging directly into an opponent's unit. And lastly, for Cunning is Frozen in Carbonite. So a card that says you can attach it to a non-leader unit for 3 resources, and the attached unit can no longer ready. And when you play it to them, you exhaust the attached unit. So it's a great way of dealing with some units that are just in your way, causing you some problems. Deal with it on your own time and let it bother you. In the aggression aspect, I think we'll see a little bit of value here. Firstly, with the Death Watch Loyalist. Now, I think aggression's the great route to go with Qira because cards like this Loyalist here are a 3/3 with grit, so you can damage it. And again, it's going to be a 5/3 with a shield. It also has Overwhelm. So imagine a 5/3 with a shield swinging on turn 3, essentially with Overwhelm into the unit. Not only do you take out the unit, but you damage the base a little bit, and the Death Watch Loyalist is still standing. I'm a big fan of this kind of card and this small little combo here. The next card is going to be this great common called Desperate Attack. For 1 resource, you can attack with a damage unit. It gets +2 for the attack. Again, damage Death Watch Loyalist, Desperate Attack, Shielded, Overwhelm. Yeah, I didn't come here to do the math, but do the math. Next is the Tension Block Rescue. Just a strong card for 3 resources. You get to deal 3 damage to a unit, and if they happen to have captured one of your cards, it's 6 damage instead. Next is going to be the Vigilance aspect. Let's not ignore how great this event is, Rivals Fall. For 6 resources, you can defeat any leader that hits the board and any unit. So I think we already know why Qira sits in this great blue shell here of control, and Rivals Fall is going to be a great one to pair with it in the common slot. You're hoping to see anywhere between 1 and 3 of these. Next is going to be this reprint from Spark of Rebellion called Cargo Juggernaut. Now, I like Cargo Juggernaut a lot because it's a 6-cost unit that's a 4/6 with shield. So this means if you haven't deployed Qira yet, you could play the Juggernaut, and you'll be able to heal the board, damage the board, and the shield will take care of that damaging. And when you play it, as long as you have another blue unit, you heal your base for 4. So it's a great hitter. It can protect itself as well as it's going to heal you. So I think it's a great one to add. Last is the Rorschach Tree Tender. Nope, I can't speak Shriwook very well, so I don't know if I pronounced that right. Definitely didn't pronounce it right in Shriwook, but I mean, even in English, who knows? But it's a 3-cost unit that's a 2/4 with grit. Grit is the key word here. Damage this guy, let him swing for 4. He has a shield, it'll be fine. Command aspect is going to be another one that don't really fit too well with Qira, so trying to figure out how to make the command aspect work is going to be tough. But if you end up having to go that way, because that's where most of your colors are, the cards I'd really recommend to pay attention to are these. Outflank, which allows you to cheat the way Rebel Assault or Leia Organa's ability works, is you can attack with 2 units in 1 action. So I think that's going to be really great. It allows you to attack early on, hopefully for a game-winning swing, or just making sure your damage units can take out your opponents the way you would prefer before they take out your low health units. Next is going to be Crosshair, a 4-cost Imperial that you can spend 2 resources to amplify his attack, which is pretty good in limited, honestly. It's a card you don't mind kind of late game. If you're familiar with Magic, some of the early starting cards like Shivan Dragon were very popular, where you just pay resources to make them really strong towards the end, and then they just swing. But his other ability says you can exhaust him to deal damage equal to his power to an enemy ground unit. So it's a great way of just putting some damage on the board where you need it. And, he can work early, he can work late, depending on what you need. And lastly, is Mercenary Company, another reprint from Spark of Rebellion. This is a no-brainer here. It's a 6-cost unit with Ambush and Overwhelm. A 5/5 that's going to probably take out most units and hit the base. It's a good one. Wrapping this up, let's look at the villain aspect. The cards I'm going to recommend here kind of work with Qira, but there's never that many villain cards to really choose from in these sets. So here we're going to look at the first one is No Bargain. It's just a good hand disruption, hand advantage card. For 3 resources, you can make your opponent discard a card of their choice, and you get to draw one. Next is going to be the Black Sun Starfighter, a good Sentinel unit in the space arena for villains out there, because you can get a 3/2 with Sentinel. It's going to buy you the time you need, not a card you use Kira's ability for. And last is Hunt's Henchman. Now this one is a 4-cost 3/4 shielded unit, so it works well the turn you want to deploy Qira. It's shield, so it protects itself, and you can continue to swing into your opponent. And last is our non-aspect recommendations. First one's going to be Street Gang Recruiter. You're mostly playing Underworld cards and Bounty Hunters, so why not play a card that's going to return some of those Underworld units back to your hand? And it also is a 4/4 for 5. Next is going to be Lady Proxima. Let's just stay on theme here as the White Worm matriarch, who essentially not essentially, she was essentially in control of Qira for quite some time. And every time you play another Underworld card, you can deal 1 damage to the base. So let's just make that work for us a little bit. And last is the Twin Pod Cloud car, pretty much a staple in this limited format. It's a 3-cost unit with a 2/2 and Restore 2. Restore 2 really does add up a lot. This kind of card will pull your opponent's attention and hopefully some hate from them because they need to deal with it. So these are all the cards I'm going to recommend to play with Qira at your local pre-release. Let me know how it goes for you. If you end up playing Qira, what rares and legendaries did you pull that worked well? Happy to hear about it in the comments below. Let me know. Good luck, and may the Force be with you.